We are so, so sorry. We were experiencing some technical difficulties, but we are going to try it again. These things happen, but it's okay. We just keep going with the flow. Look, come on back in the room. Come on back in the room. Come on back in the room. I'm going to do my part. Y'all know the routine. Share, like, comment, or let me get the order right. Like, comment, and share. And come on back in the room, and let's get back into this awesome discussion, y'all. I'm doing my part. I hope you are doing yours. As you're coming in, say who you are, greet us. We can see you as you greet us. And as I said on the last time, today is what we like to call at Destiny Winning Wednesday. If you want, share a win. Be glad about it. Yes, 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 yes. I'm sending it, y'all. I'm sending it. Sending, sending, sending. Yep. Come on in, y'all. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening to you all. Good Come on in the room. I see you coming in. Good evening, good evening. Hold on, let me finish sending it. I'll tell you. Good evening. Deborah Johnson, good to see you. And sent, 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 and sent. Ronisha Winfield, good to see you. All right, y'all. We're getting ready to get back into it. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to Black Talk That Matters, the intergenerational discussion. I am Minister Hassan Washington. For those of you who are coming in for the first time, I'm sitting here with Bishop Ernest Moore, none other than the Bishop Ernest Moore. Bishop, let's get right back into this discussion. If you mind giving a recap of the previous 10 minutes, and we'll jump back right where we left off.
You ask, why does this matter? It matters because we need to tell our story,
Yes.
so that our story will be according to our experience. Two, you also we also talked about the difference between the holiness movement and the Pentecostal movement.
Yes, sir.
The holiness movement was a 19th century movement, a revival, and I gave a definition of C.P. Jones that says it is nothing more or less than the divine disposition.
Divine disposition, yeah.
Paul said, if any man be in Christ, he ought to be a new creature.
Yeah.
Old things ought to pass away, and behold, that which is new.
Yeah.
So, beyond the rituals of the church, they believed in relationship. We thought that was a popular term of the 20th century, when the folks start saying, I don't want religion, I want relationship.
Yeah.
Well, the holiness movement was based upon having a relationship with God, being the same thing God is. Holy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not just a lifestyle, because that was real popular in the 70s. It says holiness is a lifestyle. Well, it was more than a lifestyle. It was a state of being.
Yeah.
It was the commandment to be. As you said out of Leviticus, be holy, for I am holy. And so before they had a Pentecostal experience, they had an experience that called them to responsibility. Because holiness calls you to responsibility,
Yes.
to sanctify yourself, to be who you are supposed to be. Uh, and so that movement started in the 19th century, and we also talked about prominent persons of African American descent. I am sure that Sojourner Truth um, was a Methodist, so her belief in, and Harriet Tubman probably is Methodist as well, if my memory serves me right, but definitely towards the end of the century, the 19th century, L.M. Mason and the United Holiness Church in
Yeah.
1886. And now we're talking about C.P. Jones and C.H. Mason, who starts this Church of God in Christ.
Yeah.
Now, Mason names the church, but C.P. Jones is the general overseer of the church.
Again, take that fun fact down. Take that fun fact down. We're diving back into history, y'all. We diving back into history.
And it was not just a one-dimensional theological church, because for them, holiness was everything we do.
Yeah.
We got to be holy in everything. We got to be holy enough to fight against these Jim Crow, unjust laws. We got to be holy enough to create an economy. We got to be holy enough to have our own communities. So holiness shaped everything they did, and they were not ignorant and unlearned.
Yeah.
They were, and I would like to say, and this is probably a contemporary term that Cornel West has coined when he refers to Martin Luther King as an organic intellectual. These were perhaps the organic intellectuals of the 19th century.
Wow.
We didn't come from ignorant, unlearned person.
Right.
They were in the Baptist seminary, preparing themselves.
Yeah.
But they had a conviction that holiness is righteousness.
Yes. Yes. And I want to really I want to hit another pocket here. Holiness is everything. Now and even years prior to now, especially our generation, we have put a negative connotation on what holiness is and what it looks like. And we have restricted it to a church context. And that has affected what how we can reach our communities, how us as faith leaders reach our communities, how we reach our children and we go into schools, how we reach the generations preceding us, and how we connect like you and I are doing now, intergenerationally. If we jump up to present time real quick, how would you say that this could be straightened out in a sense? How do we get to the context of holiness is everything now?
We go back to the history of what it was, what the first thing is, and what the whole thing should be. If you read Bishop Eshanine Hyman's book, Enough is Enough, she has the law of first things. Whatever the first thing is, the whole thing is. So if we go back to this definition that C.P. Jones gives us divine disposition.
Yeah.
Divine disposition. First of all, that means that I have a transformation of the way I think. Me think I'm no slave no more.
Mm.
I am the righteousness of God.
Yes.
Uh,
And some would say, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
it-
Your mind first.
That's right. So that's Romans 12 and 2.
12 and 2, yep.
Uh,
Yep.
So, so a man thinketh, so is he.
So is he.
So the first work of the Spirit is to really do transformation in the way we think. And this is key for black people coming out of slavery.
Yeah.
Because now they have to reimagine what my life is going to be like. Because now the 13th Amendment and the 14th Amendment is now established by the time they are starting these organizations. So now slavery is illegal
Yeah.
unless you do a crime. And then that's the 13th Amendment.
Yeah.
Then the 14th Amendment says that I have citizenship.
Right.
So if I'm a citizen now, how do I govern my life? Do I try to seek and envy the ways of my oppressor? Or do I go back to being who God called me to be? And from the beginning of humanity, we were supposed to be like our God.
Wow.
And our God is a holy God, a God of love and righteousness and justice.
Mm. So I want to pose a question to all of the faith leaders who are out there and to everyone, really. What are you thinking? How are you thinking? Are you thinking like God, or are you putting your thoughts first, your particular ways first? What are you thinking about? And here in Destiny, like today is Winning Wednesday, tomorrow will be Thoughtful Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
So here in this house, we focus on how we think, the positivity of what we think, and then making sure that we think God first, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Oh yeah, because our ancestors sung songs like Walk in the Light,
Yeah.
the beautiful light. That's about the illumination of my mind, the way I think. I don't have dark thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't have thoughts that are not for good. The other people have those evil thoughts. I came from among them
Yeah.
that think evil, that think that it's all right not to treat everybody with human dignity. See, our ancestors tapped into a dimension of the spirit that they did not get from the religion that was on these soil offered to them. The genius of our people is that they took another people's religion or form of Christianity and they remembered their ancestors.
Yeah.
And you find this in Ethel Clemens' work on Bishop C.H. Mason. You find it on Dr. Orville Hamilton just wrote a tremendous book, Sanctified Revolution.
Yes.
And they both said that Bishop Mason was trying to recover and restore the religion of the slave. So that's not a Christianity that enslaved people. That was a Christianity that was selfless for the whole. And that's what holiness was. A disposition that I will be like God in that I will bring life to all people. And that life comes because I give up this worldly concept of what matters.
Yeah. And that is so important right now, especially with us being in the black community, most especially. Suicide rates are at an all-time high. Crime, depression,
high functioning depression is a term that I've heard used a lot now. And you shed a little light on that because we in this generation especially, we are missing the wholeness. We are missing the wholeness. What do you, from as you know, as a, if I can say, as a father of the church and leaders, and really, a pillar of this community, what do you offer to the generation, our generation, and then the generations forthcoming, to retrieve wholeness?
Uh, Going back to our origin,
Yeah.
here slaves have just been freed. They don't have privilege to psychologists. They don't have privilege to medical doctors, but they have a church and an altar
Wow.
that they would get on their knees and pray to a God that they believed would heal. And we know that slavery was traumatic.
Right.
So they had trauma. Because, see, we come up like trauma is a new, and it's a buzzword now. We act like trauma is new. No, they had the worst trauma coming out of slavery.
Right.
But stood from the religion that their ancestors had, that God could heal them. And so this whole holiness is around God's ability to regenerate us, to bring us back into ourself if we seek Him.
Yeah.
If we deny ourselves from what Master and the system offers us. Right. If we go back to God, then God is able. Now, that's the beginning, to have faith in God. Now, anybody know me know I believe in going to medical doctors. I believe I'm not like the rest of the folks. When the vaccine, I have every vaccine there is. I believe God and medicine.
Yeah.
Or God will heal me with the medicine and without it.
Yeah.
But our focus should always be back to God. God is our all in all. We come from God. See, the holiness movement said we are the people of God. And we shouldn't be living like that. We shouldn't be living like we don't have good sense. We should be the light of the world. We should be like a city that sit up on a hill. So this holiness movement of the 19th century begins to bring character back.
Character. Write that down, y'all. Character. It's bringing that movement brought character back. I'm enjoying this just like y'all are. I hope y'all are enjoying this, man.
Because, see, if we don't get our character from God, there's no sense of having gifting. The fruit should be first. And that's what the holiness movement did. It put us to be fruitful in who we are. Understanding that what they said we were, we know 3/5 of a human. We are like God. And this movement predates civil rights and the theology of Dr. King. This is in the 19th century in the holiness movement. And you got it from C.P. Jones. It is the divine disposition.
And so through that, I want to ask this question. I want to pose this question to everybody. What are you producing? What are you producing in your holiness walk? What are you producing? And you stated already, we're in a time now that people are defining holiness for themselves. But with that definition, what are you producing? So,
and I want to push that envelope. Who are you producing?
Wow. Wow.
Before we get to the what, who,
Yeah.
when they see you, who do you look like? Do you look like one of them, or do you look like a God?
Mm.
Can they depend on you in the midst of a crisis? Now, where we are in the midst of a rumor of a war,
Right.
what is your priority? How many more houses do we need? How many more cars? How many more clothes?
Right.
But we do need a community. We do need one another.
Right.
We need a holiness group
Yeah.
that we can depend on one another, that we can share and care. And that was at the core of what holiness was about.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to and actually let me stay right there. The subject of interdependence. Let's go back into the 19th century and talk about the interdependence that that uh, that paid for the succession for things such as the Underground Railroad and for how we work together to achieve freedom. Let's shed some light on interdependence back then.
And that's here again. The Underground Railroad is a part of the black church because Harriet Tubman is a preacher.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we throw that under the bus. She's a woman preacher.
Yeah.
That, in the movie, and I know some would challenge how accurate the movie is, but she was portrayed to have visions and insights into another realm.
Yeah.
But she's African.
Mm.
She's African. So all of that is germane to who we are.
Right.
And so, and when you talk about interdependence, the Underground Railroad is definitely a great example of what holiness tribe is all about.
Yeah.
We are not just going to be free individually,
Right.
but we will lay down our lives for those who we love. We going back to get them. And you see that in the Holiness Church. You just didn't get saved in the Holiness Church and sanctified in the Holiness Church. You wanted somebody else to get it because it was not good enough that you had it all to yourself. It was about community. And these were values of the Holiness Church before we get to the 20th century. So I'm glad we're parking right here. If we don't even get to the 20th century, we have to talk about that later. Yes. But the holiness movement is so key to who we are as a now Pentecostal people. Right. If we don't go back to holiness, we say holiness is right, but holiness is really righteousness.
That's it, y'all. I want to. I see you guys hearts and likes, and all of that. I want you guys to keep on liking, commenting, and sharing. I want to stop for a quick second and recognize some of the people who are on. Mother Beverly Williams, it is good to have you on. Apostle Winnie Jackson, it is so good to have you on. Elder Felicia Smith, it is so good to have you on. Mother Yvonne Lawson, God bless you. It is good to have you on. And please feel free to ask questions. This is a time right now of talking. So we're talking, you all are part of the conversation as well. This is something for us. And again, there is going to be more conversations like these. Man, I am thoroughly enjoying myself. I'm just telling you, Bishop, we are really shedding some light. And you are really imparting into us right now. And these are things, though we are discussing the 19th, we're really, really heavy in the 19th century. I want you guys to really grasp the relevance to present time. These are things that we need to hold on to now to get back to holiness, to get back to God. We need to get back to a place of fruitfulness, production. We need to get back to a place of interdependence and community. We need to get back to a place where we are thinking like God. We are being like God. We are called to be a people of God. So we need to get back to that. And this is, man, I'm telling you, Bishop, this is good.
And as you're talking in my mind, I want us to understand. One, I feel like I'm just reminding us
Yes.
about the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the way they taught us. This is the way they accept. It's not about the clothes. We get a bad rap about the clothes. Everybody, they didn't have good clothes back then anyway,
No.
because they were struggling.
Right.
So that was not the emphasis of the clothes. We were countercultural. But one